So welcome to the WBEC Wednesday window. I'm Steph McPhee, the North Florida Director and the Communications and Community Guide here at the WBEC of Florida. We are so excited to welcome you for our conversation this week. As a quick reminder, we are the Women's Business Development Council of Florida. We are here to champion, to certify, and to connect you and your business. And we do that through three ways. Our three banners are WBEC Florida, where we certify your business as woman-owned, and we are an affiliate of WeBank. Through the Growth Shift, which is one of our newest banners, where we support you through the three different shifts your business can take, from starting to growing to how you want to legacy your business to the next generation. And then through our Nancy G. Allen banner, where we support you as the CEO that we already know that you are, to ensure that you are performing your best and doing all the things you need to do and to live by Nancy's fabulous motto and mantra of connections, creativity, and courage in all endeavors. So again, we welcome you to our Wednesday window. And we're excited about our conversation all month long. The team discussed this concept of bringing back and talking about celebrating on entrepreneurial independence as entrepreneurs. And I think a lot of things in our conversation as a team when we got into this was that we kind of forget, right? We get head down in our business. And I laugh sometimes at my family. They'll say, you know what, you need to ask the boss if you can have a day off. And I'm like, oh yeah, who is the boss? You know, and we can forget about that, right? We can get so busy that we forget, and we will work consistently. And so we're going to have a conversation today. And for any of you who've been following Nancy on her LinkedIn, she actually has been doing some great teaser content on what we're going to cover today. And so with that, we're going to hand it over. We want to encourage you guys to put things in the chat. Definitely, this is a conversation today because, again, it's really getting us to kind of go back and remember why we started our businesses. Because a lot of the statistics, and it was interesting, I just read an article, and WeBank has a lot of these statistics on their website, that the majority of women, right, when we start businesses, we do it for the flexibility and freedom that we have, whether, you know, that is because we have kids or not. That's why we join it. We typically do this because we want more flexibility, whether it be creatively or in any way. So we're going to have some time to talk about that. So Nancy, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Steph. And this is one of my favorite topics because it allows us to stop, take a breath, and kind of reevaluate, right? So, you know, if you want to just raise your hand and tell us why you started your business. Steph mentioned flexibility. We could have done a poll. Next time we'll try to remember to do a poll so that we can you know, make it easier for you. If you wouldn't mind just telling us why you started your business.
So basically, I started 9 years ago, and it was just to help my boyfriend, now husband, with purchasing and getting quotes for his promotional products company. But now that and then I continued doing it on a part-time basis because I had a full-time job in hospitality. And then when I lost my job last year due to COVID, then I decided to do just full-time, just dedicate myself to this only. And I'm very happy about it. And yes, I needed flexibility. You know, I have two grown adults now, but you know, I need my time. So yes, and it's been a blessing for me.
Good, thank you. Okay, Deborah, how about you?
Thank you. No, I actually started by request. I had some people that I was working with in my corporate life that wanted to work with me one-on-one. So I had a couple anchor clients that when I started my own business that I went with, and then it was nice to be able to leave the bureaucracy of corporate and, like, you know, form a business with the ideal practices that I wish that I had been governed under. So that was, you know, basically I did it to help people in a sense, if you win the exact reason. So yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Who wants to go next?
I'm new. I was just certified in May. So thank you. Yeah. So for me, I'm very similar to Deborah in the sense that I left a executive job at a Fortune 100 company. And I really wanted to kind of own my own thing and be able to drive the direction and provide opportunities for employees and just run the gamut of that, right? I mean, it was challenging in the corporate environment for me because I was having to make decisions that sometimes I didn't feel like were based in logic. So really just trying to drive a strategy around what I feel is logical and fair and ethical to my employees as well is what I was looking for.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're so glad you joined, Heidi. It's good to see you.
Nice to see you, Diane.
Joy, how about you?
Hi, everybody. So I started Jewel Tone Interiors about 8 years ago because I was really disappointed in the experience I had at other design firms. And I knew it wasn't unique to me. I knew it was kind of an industry standard because there's quite a few of my colleagues at other design firms that experienced a lack of work-life balance and just kind of treating employees like they were all replaceable instead of like the best tools in the tool chest. So I wanted to start a company that was really based on valuing the employees and a very collaborative instead of a competitive culture, as well as one that valued work-life balance. I had a 3-year-old at the time who was potty training when I started my company, and I have had 2 children since I started it. So I now have 3. So of course, the flexibility with time, juggling 3 kids under 10 is a huge bonus.
Great, great, great. And there are a couple of people, we don't see you on camera. So if you're interested in participating, let us know or just put something in the chat if you're not able to come on camera. But thank you, those of you who shared. I was taking some notes and boy, the word help came up a couple of different times. I don't know if you all heard. Sidania wanted to help her boyfriend. I think Deborah, you used the word, you help in the sense that you wanted to help drive some, things that are better for employees, as did, Heidi and Joy. And then the term flexibility came up a couple of times too. And so that's one of the things when we think of becoming an entrepreneur, we, you look to see how can you help do something better, right? So you were working for someone else, you saw some challenges, you saw some injustices, and you decided, yeah, I can do this better. Right? I can help make this big difference. The other thing that we like to talk about is how when you're an employee, you have one client and that's your boss, right? And many times your boss has a client that's that person's boss. So you're kind of the 2 or 3 rungs down the chain, and this idea of injustice really can come to a head because you can't really affect change, right? When you're an employee, as opposed to when you become the boss. Then you have the opportunity, if you're smart, to have more than one client, right? Not put everything in, all of your eggs in one basket, which can be the death of your business, as so many people saw it with the pandemic, right? That those of us who could pivot very quickly did fairly well with the pandemic. Those of us who could not pivot did not so well. And unfortunately, a lot of women are the ones who bore the brunt of dislocation and business failures. And so as we're talking, as Steph said, about entrepreneurial independence and freedom, it gives us an opportunity to just pause and say, okay, why did I start this? And am I still doing what it was I started out to do? So sometimes 6 months in, a year in, 2 years in, 3 years in, we kind of have to reevaluate. I like to tell business owners, women business owners, that you should be reevaluating every 6 months. Okay, years and years ago, the norm was you're going to make a 5-year plan. Yeah, but the world has changed, right? The internet changed all that. And we can't make a 5-year plan because we don't know what's coming up 6 months from now, let alone, a year from now, let alone 5 years from now, right? So when, when you do a business plan, you have to do a business plan because you need, financing for your business, because you're thinking of strategically growing your business, but you really should be doing action plans, right? And strategic action plans are different than business plans because they, by its very nature, are action oriented, and you can set up timelines and say, okay, I'm going to reevaluate this in 6 months. And there are actually some really, really good systems out there and books, and we can recommend a couple to you. WBEC actually does a training on the EOS system using the book Traction. And if you ever have an opportunity, it's a free training. You should get on that list to take that training. I think it's about 6 weeks long, but lots of great information is provided through that. The best thing you can do as a business owner is really to take care of yourself first, right? So I always use the example of, remember the last time you were on an airplane. You got in, you sat down, and as the plane is taxiing, as we're on the runway, the flight attendants, stand up in front of everybody, and most people don't pay any attention because they've heard it so many times. But what do? They tell you how to buckle and unbuckle your seatbelt. And then they tell you that if the cabin pressure changes, the oxygen masks are going to come down. And what do? They always say, put yours on first, right? Because you can't help people if you can't breathe. So yours goes on first, which means you need to take time as the business leader, as the business owner. You need to take some time to, as you're taxiing, right? That's when the engines are full force going, is as they're taxiing down the runway, trying to get enough air to go up, but we're still taking time to put our oxygen masks on, right? And if we don't do that, then crash and burn is what's gonna happen. And that's why I like to say every 6 months, just take a breather. And I invite you to, right now, go to 6 months from now and put a calendar item that says stop and breathe. And you will thank me 6 months from now, because what would that be, December? You will thank me in the midst of the holiday season, in the midst of everything that's going on, as you're wrapping your year, as you're, trying to get ready for next year, to just really stop and breathe and say, okay, let me evaluate what has happened between July and now. And I suggest you even grade yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10. How much did you accomplish, right? Did you meet your sales goals? Did you meet your client target goals? Did you meet your employee recruitment or retention goals? Just give yourself a rating 1 to 10. And there's no need to be upset or belittle yourself if you didn't make those goals. It just means now you know what to focus on for the next 6 months, right? And one of the things that should be on your list as you're reevaluating what you've done and how you've gotten there is what you've done for yourself, right? What have you done for yourself? How have you put on your oxygen mask? And that can be as simple as deciding today that you're going to go to the gym once a week from now for the next 6 months. Right? So deciding that you're going to go to the gym once a week means you have to get a gym membership. It means you're going to have to go get maybe some new sneakers, some new gym clothes to get out there and do what you need to do. But those are action steps that you can take, right? And the more you break things down into action steps, the more likely that you're going to do them. So, 6 months from now, stop and pause and ask, what am I doing that I set out to do? I'll share with you that in January of this year, I decided to hire an art coach. And I have enjoyed working with my art coach so much once a week that now I work with her twice a week. And when people say, when do you have time? How do you have time to do that? Well, I'm a widow, so I live alone. I don't have any pets. My son lives in Miami. I'm, the master of my domain, so to speak. And I can get up at 6 a.m. and answer emails and, do projects, so that on Mondays from 4 to 7, I have time to do my art classes. And I am not more special than you. All right. I have maybe a little bit more flexibility in my schedule than you do, especially if you've got 3 children under the age of 15 or whatever. But if you really want something, you will make time to do it. And I'll share with you, one of my coaches shared with us years ago. Her name is Jennifer Grace. And she said that she wanted to write a book for years. She had been wanting to write this book. And Jennifer was a single mom. She had, I think at the time, her son was 10 or 12, so adolescent, who was very involved with either soccer or baseball. I don't remember which, but, there was school, there was after school, there was, friends, there was a whole bunch of things. And she decided that she really wanted to write this book. And the only time she had to herself was at 5:30 a.m. So she would get up every morning at 5:30, and from 5:30 until 6 a.m., she wrote her book. And she said it was difficult. The first week or so was really difficult, but then after, it became easier. And she said one of the things that helped her was on her iPhone, on the alarm, you can label an alarm, right? If you don't know how to do that, call me. I'll explain to you how you can do it. It's very easy. You can label the alarm. And she labeled this 5:30 alarm, how badly do you want this? So when the alarm went off, she saw those words, how badly do you want this? And she said that's what got her out of bed every morning at 5:30 in order to be able to write her book. In a year, she wrote her book. She submitted it to Hay House, which is an incredible publishing organization. And she is a Hay House published author. And Jennifer says, if I can do it, anyone can do it. So you just need to schedule it. So my schedule, I've blocked out Mondays from 4 to 7 p.m. to work with my art coach. Wednesdays from 4 to 7 p.m. I work with my art coach because that's important to me. So I invite you to consider what's important to you and how much time can you devote to it. Keeping in mind that Jennifer wrote a book at a half hour, 5 days a week, a half hour a day. On Saturday and Sunday, she had a bit more time if her son was with her husband, her ex-husband, or if he was on a play date. But, the brunt of the book was written in half hour increments, okay, every morning. So how badly do you want what you need to do to take care of yourself? Because if you don't take care of yourself, your business is not going to take care of you.
Nancy, I would love to hear how other people are doing this and how other people are taking care of themselves, because other people on this call are such busy people, I have tickets to hockey, so the Orlando Solar Bears, and I've been buying them for the 7 years that they've been in existence. And so I guess it's 8 now. But anyway, so people always ask me like, well, how do you find time to go to games? And I might be able to only go to half the games in a season, but I know that when I have that on my schedule, that's fun time for me. And I just have to take off and go. And because otherwise I would just work straight through, morning, noon, night, whatever. And so to me, I know that that's some time, and yeah, it costs money and all that, but that's something that's really special to me. I'm not necessarily going to a gym. I haven't started back up since since COVID. But I just was wondering if there are other people who have ideas, something that you do just for yourself, taking time out for you. I know Steph is good. She's good about that. But you have a 5-year-old who makes you do it, doesn't she?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's all tough. You guys all help me. Nancy helps me a lot because we can forget. But I think one of the biggest things, Nancy, that you said to me earlier this year about having that sort of sacred time, because I know you take a walk every day in the morning as well, and you make time for your garden. So I started running this year. And I didn't get it in today because of the rain, but even yesterday it was only sprinkling, and I still went because it was safe. Because if I don't get my run in for too many days in a row, I am not a happy person anymore. So it's important for me and my clientele. So it's I think you call it sacred space, so, right, Nancy? So blocking that out and holding that time from 8 to 9 every day that I can, and trying to get it in. And then, so I think it's identifying what you need, and then realizing that it's just as important as anything else you would do in your business, and then putting it into that time. And then Nancy knows this. I even took a call a couple weeks ago to support a friend of ours in a session, and I was on the beach doing my run because I hadn't been able to get it in for a couple of days, and I was determined. But I was like, you know what, I can listen, and so that's my time.
And Joanna has this side-by-side calendar that she uses. So Joanna, you want to tell everybody about the side-by-side calendar, and especially about the non-negotiables, because that's really what we're talking about here.
Yes. So I used to be a teacher, and for like 7 years, and I was awarded with exemplary. I used to do all these trainings, and I was even headed to become an administrator. And then my path changed. But along the way, at one of these trainings and in our classrooms, we were taught to do like a side-by-side schedule. So what are you doing as the teacher, and what should your children be doing, and holding everyone accountable to make sure that the kids are not lost and, dilly-dallying when they should be learning. So I during COVID, I found that became very useful with my kids and my family and my husband, because I was able to set just a daily schedule, and then they would have their schedule next to mine. And so I know what everyone is doing at a given time. And I felt like I was able to get more into my day. And, when we're talking about non-negotiables, these are things that are your core values and your beliefs. So a big core value is family for me, eating breakfast together, dinner together most nights. That is a big thing, sitting at the table without electronics. And so that's one of my values. So it's in my schedule for us to do that together. And then also, exercising your body and mind, it's very important as well, and making sure that you take that rest, whether it is, for my children, that hour-long nap time, to myself, taking that 2-minute meditation break, but really stepping away and taking a break is also like the non-negotiables in our house too. And getting outside and outdoors, that's another big one of mine. We need to breathe the fresh air and see the green. So those are some things that are non-negotiables for us and our family, and just finding in your schedule where you can get it in. So for Steph, she's going to get her run in every day. She's going to look at her schedule and say, okay, where am I going to get that in? And being realistic with what your expectations are. So like for work goals, setting 3 things that are my must do during my work time, makes me feel much more successful than having a ton of a list that's forever long and you're never going to get everything done. So yeah, that's kind of like how I've been able to get a lot of stuff done, and I'm happy to share that side by side schedule if anybody is interested in seeing that.
Yeah, I think you should just pop it in the
Okay.
chat, Joanna. And
Yeah.
what Joanna didn't say, but might be obvious to some of you and not so obvious to others, it's all on one sheet. Okay, so you have one sheet of paper and you've got as many columns as you have members of your family. And then the time goes across, right? And so 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., everybody at Joanna's house is having breakfast. I think she calls it the morning huddle or something like that.
Yeah, our morning meeting time.
Morning meeting. And so Joanna did a workshop to show how easy that is to translate into you and your employees. So let's say you have a team of 4 people. If you have a side-by-side schedule set up where they populate what they're going to be doing at what time, you have everything at a glance. You can see what their schedule looks like, right? They know what you're doing, you know what they're doing. So it's something that you know, can cross between home and work, and it's a really good tool to have. And again, the non-negotiables are the things that you're going to put in, and everybody in the family, in Joanna's example, you'll see has non-negotiables. Her husband's got his non-negotiables, she's got hers, and you can do the same. And you know, research has shown that when you get your family involved in something, because of accountability, and we're going to talk about having accountability partners in a minute, you get your family involved in something, they are more supportive of you, right? And the open lines of communication, you and your staff, you and your family, those are really keys to success. Okay, and I will share with you too, I listened to a great podcast by a lovely woman named Patrice Washington. And on her podcast recently, she talked about Money Mondays. And she said that for years, she and her husband, she has a speaking and coaching business. Her husband also has a speaking and coaching business. And they powwow every Monday morning for 90 minutes. It's in their schedule. And for the first half hour, it's Patrice talking about everything that's on her schedule and what funds, money, she is going to need to make her schedule happen. The next is his 30 minutes to let her know where he's going to be, what he's doing, and what he's thinking as far as investments are concerned. And then the final 30 minutes, they have a 13-year-old daughter. So it's all about their daughter, what's going on in their daughter's life, right? And she said it's non-negotiable. Monday meetings are non-negotiable. They happen between 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. And she said it has alleviated lots of strain and stress, because throughout the course of a week, a business owner has some decisions they've got to make regarding their finances, right? And instead of going to the spouse to say, okay, I'm going to invest in this course on a Wednesday morning when your spouse is busy with his own thing and you're trying to get out the door and the kids are this and there and nobody's paying attention, and you know, money is one of the big stressors, right? She said, we hold all money conversations to Monday because we know that that's when we're going to talk money. And I thought it was brilliant. So I've been sharing that with everyone to say, set aside a particular time, a particular day when you're going to be discussing these issues that can be a little touchy. You'll have everybody's attention and it'll be easier to get decisions made.
Yeah, I wanted to add to Nancy, since you're mentioning relationships and spouses, just recently my sister and I, because she's about to get married and I've been married for 10 years, and we were talking about relationships, and her therapist recommended this 2-2-2 rule, and I looked it up and it is a thing, but it's every 2 weeks you go out for like a date. every 2 months you go out for the weekend, and every 2 years you go out for a week. And I was like thinking, my gosh, I don't even know when's the last time I had a date with my husband. Like, and then it got me thinking, yes, we need to make sure we remember our spouses. You know, I've interviewed so many women business owners, and it really can become, your business can really become your spouse. Like, so you got to really try to balance that out. And that 222 rule was interesting. So I wanted to share that as well.
Thank you. Very nice. Very, very, very important to schedule those things. Okay, so that was the first of these three things, and I think there's a link for you to there's a checklist. Steph created a checklist. The second of the three things, the three ways that you can celebrate and embrace your entrepreneurial freedom, is to spend time with your favorite people, right? And so I'm going to take you real quickly through an exercise called Anchors and Engines. And the Anchors and Engines exercise works really well for business owners. And it's a very powerful exercise related to accountability. Okay, so this is how it works. You take out a sheet of paper, and then on one, draw a line straight down the middle. On the left-hand side, write the word anchors. On the right-hand side, write the word engines, right? And so anchors, you know, when I say the word anchor, what kind of comes up? Usually people will say to me, stability, you know, holding in place, not moving, you know, words like that are the characteristics of anchors. When I say the word engines and I ask what that does that bring up, people think about movement and moving forward and propelling and action, right? So I'm going to ask you to think about three people in your life that you meet with regularly, that you count on regularly. And I'm going to ask you to put them in either the anchor category or the engine category. And I'm going to share a story with you by way of example. Okay, so my mom is in my anchor category. She's my rock. You know I can count on her no matter what. She will be there for me. But my mom, as an anchor, likes things to be very stable. And if I have a business idea or something new that I'm trying, I cannot share that with my mom without her getting worried about it. And I'll give you this example of, we were all going to go to Portugal. We all got accepted to participate in this conference in person in Portugal, but COVID happened and we couldn't go. We did it virtually. But anyway, so I was really excited. I recommended to the team that they submit speaking proposals. Everybody got accepted. And so I was telling my mom, I'm so excited. All 5 of us are going to go to Portugal. And we're going to, while we're there, explore some global opportunities. We're going to do some strategic planning, you know, and we're going to make like, you know, a 4 or 5 day trip out of this trip to Portugal. And her first reaction was, can you afford that? How are you going to pay for that? And I thought, Mom, I have a budget. I know how much it costs to go to Portugal. I know, you know, how much I have in marketing and training and all that. Yes, I can afford it. Well, you know, Nancy, I just don't want you to get fired. Well, I have been the president of this organization for 20 years. Okay. And as I said, I know my budget, I know everything, but my mom's first reaction was one of fear. Blanca, a very dear friend of mine, Blanca is in my engines category. When I told Blanca, my team, we're all going to Portugal, she said, wow, what a great opportunity for your team and development. How long are you guys going to be going for? And what are you going to do? I mean, everything was moving me forward, was complimenting the initiative, was saying, you can do this, Okay, so do you see the difference between your anchors and your engines? And if you take the time to really consider the people who are closest to you, and anchors are good things, okay? Anchors hold you accountable, they hold you steady, they have your back. Engines are really good things too. The flip side of engines is they can propel you out of control. Okay, an engine can be all go, 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 and not enough, let's look at this objectively. So put people either in your anchor or your engines category. And the next time you need something, be very mindful of who you're going to discuss that with. Okay, and then report back to us and let us know if it's changed the way you're going to be making some decisions. As business owners, we all need accountability, but we need the right kind of accountability. Okay, sometimes we need people who are going to support us and move us forward, and sometimes we need people who are going to hold us back, right? But don't keep going to the person who's going to hold you back for support with an idea that you need to move forward with. Okay, does that example resonate with you all? Yeah, okay, beautiful. All right, so the third thing is really important as far as your entrepreneurial journey and embracing your freedom is rest, getting enough rest. Now, I attended a conference once where it was a women's conference, and they were talking about, all aspects of a woman's life, including health, right? So many of us neglect our health. We don't go for our regular checkups. We don't, monitor our food properly, etc. But so they had a doctor on this panel, and she started off by saying, okay, lack of sleep is a form of torture. And everybody in the room just kind of got really quiet. And she said, I'm going to say it again. Lack of sleep is a form of torture. We women tend to wear our busyness and our lack of sleep as a badge of honor. It's actually a form of torture. If you are not getting enough sleep, you are more susceptible to disease. You're more susceptible to stress-related immunological diseases, and it builds up. What happens to your bodies when you lack sleep is your adrenaline kicks in, and your adrenal glands can go into failure if they're constantly on, right? And your adrenal gland regulates so much of your life and your ability to think properly, your ability to make rational decisions. All that has to do with every aspect of your physiology. So if you are getting less than 5 hours of sleep a night, actually, if you're getting less than 7 hours of sleep a night, you are a good candidate for adrenal failure. Okay, and adrenal failure will show up with you losing your hair, with you having the sniffles or a cold, or more susceptible to allergies or brain fog. I mean, imagine you have adrenal fatigue and you're going through menopause, or you're super stressed because of what's going on at work and everything. So really, your body does need its rest, right? Children will fall asleep in their food when their body says, okay, I'm shutting down because I need rest. We've all seen it and laughed at it, right? The kids, all of a sudden, they just fall forward in their plate of food, or they just fall forward wherever they're at. Your body can actually do that. And chances are it has done that without your really knowing it. Okay, so you really want to pay attention to the amount of rest that you're getting. And if you're not resting properly, then you're not making rational and objective decisions, because you're operating under stress, and stress makes you not listen and be open to new ideas. Okay, so those are the three things that we talked about. Taking time to do something that you like, actually scheduling it, and remember to, put a reminder in your calendar. Today is July 7th, so December 7th. And isn't that Pearl Harbor Day or something? It's a big day, right? December 7th.
That's just 5 months away, right? So
Oh, okay. Well, 5 months from now. Or if you want to do it in January, do it in January. But put something in your calendar to remind you to pause and breathe, and reevaluate how have the last 6 months gone. The second thing is, remember to look at your anchors and engines, and who is on what list, what side of the list, and how knowing that is going to affect how you approach them as you're looking for some advice. And then finally, getting the proper amount of rest. So we have in the chat different ways to celebrate your entrepreneurial freedom. And we want you to also remember the 5 A's. Acknowledge your journey, accept who you are, adapt to the situation. Remember that accountability is key, and finally, attitude is everything. All right, so we have a few minutes. If you have any questions, or if you have anything you want to share, we're happy to open it up.
Nancy, I just wanted to share real quick that my husband, like when we're working or whatever, and whether it's on a project in the house or anything, he's like, okay, I'm done, I'm going to sleep. And I'm just like, my mouth drops, because it's like, you're done, you're going to sleep, we're not done. Like, and the truth is, like, that he'll go to bed, and then the next day he's energized, ready to go, and I'm like tired, starting my morning slowly. And so I've realized that, and I've taken his lead on that we need our rest, and just stop, and it'll be there tomorrow. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you. Anybody else?
We'd love to hear if there's any ahas that you might have had from this. And thank you, Joanna, for putting the side-by-side schedule in. I think that one is really fabulous. And of course, the idea of the non-negotiables. I'll never forget when I first heard that. It was actually a mentor in corporate almost 20 years ago now, who told me about embracing your non-negotiables, and it truly is a game changer. I think the other thing I'll add is communicate. So Nancy talked about accountability to yourself. Don't be afraid to tell people, and actually you should communicate your non-negotiables. When I take on new clients, I'm very honest about the fact that I have a 6-year-old daughter, and that there may be times that we have to work around the schedule, and that I don't take calls after 4:30 and Saturdays, things like that. So I'm very honest, and they appreciate that. And I actually had a client reach out to me the other day and thank me for that. And now she doesn't work on Saturdays. She has started to take that as sacred time to be with her family. And before, she didn't think she could give herself permission, even as an entrepreneur. She asked the boss, and the boss said, okay. So
good. So Joy, I see that you wrote the word heavy, but you want to elaborate on what that is?
No, you just asked what word comes to mind with anchors, and that's what coming to mind for me.
It's true. Anchors can really weigh you down and be a heavy weight on your shoulders, right? So
I have one thing I started back in December. I have 5 kids, and what would happen when I would get home from work, or trying to do as an entrepreneur, doing work in the evening, like when they see me, they're all like, they want time with me, they want to like focus on me, and I didn't have any time to get anything done, nor any time for myself from the second I walked in the door. And so what I did was I gave each kid 1 hour, 1 day a week. So like one kid has Monday, one kid has Tuesday, one Wednesday, and they all call them our days. And I started leaving work 1 hour earlier. So from 5 to 6 p.m., that hour before dinner, each kid had an hour every day a week, and they save what they want to do with me for that day. And because of that, like, they don't bother me as much at night, because I'm like, you had your time from 5 to 6. This is now mommy's time to work. It's 8 p.m. You're supposed to be in bed. This is mommy's day, you know? But they're not as much pulling on me because they know I've given them dedicated time. So
Beautiful. Great idea.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are at our time. We really appreciate the contributions and helping us kick off this month. With that, we wish you guys a fabulous week. Hopefully, with that sun is moving up the state. So we look forward to drying out a little bit. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week in the window. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.